Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Today we'll be continuing with the models of communication as discussed in the previous video. A model is a representation of the real world phenomenon in more abstract terms which can be applied to different forms at different times. Communication is an extremely complex process and it is ever changing. The complexity and the constant change in communication process makes it very important that these elements and processes should be presented in simple and generalized way to better explain and understand the structure and functions of communication. Communication models present this simplification. Today, we are going to discuss a few models of communication. The first model of communication is Gerbner's general model of communication. George Gerbner is one of the pioneers of communication research. In 1956, he attempted the general purpose of communication model in which the communication act is seen as a transmission of messages. The model assumes significance as it is seen as an advancement over earlier models in two ways. One, it relates the message to reality and thus enable us to approach the question of perception and meaning. And two, it further sees communication process as consisting of two dimensions, the perpetual dimension or the receptive dimension and the communicating or the means and control dimension. The perpetual dimension. In this dimension, E is an event in real life and is perceived by M, which is man or machine. The event perceived by M becomes E1, which is only a portion of the event because M has perceived it as according to his mood, attitude, culture, etc. There are three factors that involve between M and E in perpetual dimension. They are selection, context, and availability. M selects the interesting or needed content from the entire event E and filters out the others. The event occurs in a certain context and availability is based on M's mood, attitude, culture, and personality. For example, the perception of a message from an event by a journalist. He cannot focus on the entire event, so he filters out the excess information from the event. This filtered event is not the same as the real event. It is just a representation of the entire event because the journalist has edited the event based on his attitude, mood, culture, personality, and the press policies. The means and control dimension. In this dimension, E2 is the new event content drawn up by M. Here, M becomes the source to send the message about E to someone else. M creates signals or statements about the message S, and Gerbner terms it as SE2. Here, S, that is a form or the signal, take E2, that is M's content, and E2 is structured or formed by M and it can communicate in a number of ways or based on the ways structured. M has to use channels to communicate and the channels are more or less controlled by M. The question of control relates to M's skill in using the communication channels. This process can be extended to infinity by adding other receivers like M2, M3, etc. who have further perceptions, that is SE2 and SE3 and etc. of the statements about the perceived events. An important point to be noted is that the message is altered at every level. This model can be illustrated as in the case of news reporting. E can be any event that has happened and the reporter M selects a particular part of the event which becomes E1 that may provide his channel higher TRP rating or the news may boost the particular party which its channel supports. This SE2 is sent through a medium to the mass audience. Then the audience M1 distribute the message, that is SE2, and the audience, that is M1, sends the message that he constructed to his friends with his interpretation, and the process continues. The next model of communication is the Newcomb model or the ABX model. This model was introduced by Theodore M. Newcomb. He was a professor at the University of Michigan, and this model was proposed in 1953. He gives a different approach to the communication process. The main purpose of this theory is to introduce the role of communication in a social relationship, that is, the society, and to maintain social equilibrium within the social system. Newcomb considered communication as a way in which people adjust to their environment and to each other. The model is based on the concept of balance between one's attitude and beliefs and those that are important to an individual. The model considers the role of communication as a way to maintain social balance within the social system. If the balance is disturbed, communication is used to restore the balance. The Newcomb model works in the triangular format or a ABX system, where A is the center, B is the receiver, and X is a matter of concern or the object of communication. The relationship between A and B is like student and teacher or government and the public. The center and receiver could be individuals or groups, and X is a part of their social environment. Newcomb sees four basic components of this relational system. 1. A's attitude towards X, A's attraction towards B, B's attitude towards X, and finally B's attraction to A. According to the model, both A and B have a natural tendency towards balance in their co-direction towards X and each other. If A changes his or her relationship to X, B have to change his or her relationship with A or X in order to maintain balance within the social system. For example, if A has a negative attitude towards smoking, which is X, and a very positive attraction towards B, but B has a positive attitude towards smoking, which is X, as well as towards A, then A will experience an imbalance resulting in a push towards revision of attitudes to regain that balance. This model assumes that people need adequate information about their social environment. Without it, we cannot feel part of the society. The next model of communication for discussion today is Wesley's and MacLean's model of communication. This model was suggested by Bruce Wesley and Malcolm S. MacLean Jr. in 1957. This model was an adaptation from Newcomb's model of communication. Wesley's and MacLean's model of communication analyzes the communication between source and the receiver, indicated as A and B, with an inclusion of C as a gatekeeper. X are environmental factors, the factors that influence why the message is created in the first place. A is the center, B is the receiver, C is the gatekeeper, F is feedback. X1 is sensory experience, the way we receive message, which shape the content of our future messages. X2 and X3 are object of orientation for center and receiver respectively. So this object of orientation of the source or the center is a subject of beliefs or experience of the person sending the message. All of us approach and interpret information with our own culture or social perspectives. These will impact how we send a message. Likewise, objective orientation of the receiver is the subjective beliefs or experiences of the person receiving the message. The receiver will decode a message using their own personal perspectives. For example, a student who is oriented towards believing their teacher because they see the teacher as an authority on the topic. The Wesley-McLean model sees feedback loop as important for influencing how messages are sent. This makes this model a circular model rather than a linear model. Gatekeepers are more common in mass communication than in interpersonal communication. They are the editors of messages before they are passed on to the receiver. Examples of gatekeepers include a newspaper editor who makes sure the grammar and spelling are accurate, or a television executive who insists stories have a particular political bias. Examples of opinion leaders include politicians, celebrities, and social media influencers. They too influence the message creation. The Westland and McLean model of communication believes a communication event begins when an environmental factor stimulates a person to create a message. They may hear or see something that they feel that they need to talk about. Once the environmental factor kicks off the communication process, the message is formed by the sender. The sender creates a message that is influenced by how they interpret the message, as well as their own subjective opinion on the matter. Once the message is sent, it may pass through a gatekeeper, such as an editor, before it is approved for sending through the receiver. The gatekeeper may send the message back to the sender with a feedback to asking them to change the message. The receiver will get the message but must decode it. Their decoding will involve applying their own subjective interpretation of the message. The receiver may send feedback to the sender, which could spark another round of communication. The last model for discussion in today's video is the Jacobson's model. Roman Jacobson, the Russian-American linguist, defined 6 functions of language or communication functions, according to which an effective act of verbal communication can be described. According to Jacobson, any act of verbal communication is composed of 6 elements or factors. 1. A context. 2. An addresser. 3. An addressee. 4. A contact between an addresser and addressee. 5. A common code. And 6. A message. A message is sent by the addresser to the addressee. The message cannot be understood by the addressee without a context. A code should be commonly full or at least partially to the addresser and the addressee. A contact, which is physical channel and psychological connection between the addresser and the addressee, is necessary for both of them to enter and stay in communication. Each of these factors has a different function of language. The diversity in these functions is a result of different hierarchical order of function. Jacobson outlines 6 major functions of language into 1. The referential function, 2. The connotative function, 3. The emotive function, 4. The poetic function, 5. The metalingual function, and 6. The phatic function. The emotive function is oriented towards the addresser and it expresses the feelings and attitudes of the addresser. The referential function corresponds to the context. It gives the factual information or the reality. It is concerned with the descriptive or the denotative part of the communication. The poetic function is oriented towards message and gives importance to the style and aesthetics of communication. The phatic function is associated with contact. It keeps open communication lines and good social relationship through interaction. The metalingual function is performed by the code. It is the use of language and the nature of interaction. the conjugative function persuades or influences the addressee according to the desired goals. According to this model, each factor is important for communication to take place, but it is not necessary that all these 6 functions should play an equally important role in the communication process. The next video, we will be discussing about the transmission perspective of communication along with the transactional perspective of communication. That's all for today. Thank you for listening. This is Lizzie signing off.